Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be another reading vlog. This is going to be reading vlog number 7, I believe. And this week I have picked up, because I've been pretty much reading 3 books a week. I want to start out these reading vlogs by showing you the books that I've put to read this week. And then as I'm reading along, I'll give you a little bit about each one as I'm reading them. But the first book I'm going to start reading this week is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan. It has a little synopsis on the back here. And it says, Autumn and Finn used to be inseparable, but then something changed, or they changed. Now they do their best to ignore each other. Autumn has her boyfriend Jamie and her close-knit group of friends. Finn has become that boy at school the one everyone wants to be around. That still doesn't stop the way Autumn feels every time she and Finn cross paths, and the growing nagging thought that maybe things could have been different. Maybe they should be together. And as time passes, Autumn realizes she might not get another chance to make things right before it's too late. So this sounds pretty good. I don't know. Sounded good. So I am going to start with, I already put my bookmark in it. So I have my little magnetic. I have these little magnetic Harry Potter ones. This is Hermione that I use as bookmarks. But it has like bigger writing. So I think this is probably going to be an easy one for me to get through, even though it's a little chunky. I think this would be an easy one to get through. So it's a romance. So it feels good to start out with a romance again this week. Because I've been reading here lately thrillers and then that fantasy novel. I just love a romance. So the second book I've chosen to read this week is The Naturals. This is a thriller or mystery. A lot of people have been talking about this book here. And it says 17-year-old Cassie Hobbs and something people piecing together the tiniest details, she can tell you who you are and what you want. But it's not a skill that she's ever taken seriously. That is until the FBI comes knocking. They've begun a classified program that uses exceptional teenagers to crack in famous cold cases. And they need Cassie. What Cassie doesn't realize is that there's more at risk than a few unsolved homicides, especially when she's sent to live with a group of teens whose gifts are as unusual as her own. Soon it becomes clear that no one in the Naturals program is what they seem. And when a new killer strikes, danger looms close. Caught in the lethal game of cat and mouse with the killer, the Naturals are going to have to use all their gifts just to survive. So this sounds pretty good. And it looks like there's 4 books in the series. It has Killer Instinct, All In, and Bad Blood here. This is a YA thriller mystery novel. So I have heard a lot of people talking about it. So I checked this out at the library. So this is going to be the second book I read this week. So I'm splitting up my romance and then with thriller. And then I'm ending out with another romance. I'm going to be reading the same time next summer. This one looks so short. I have a feeling I'm probably going to read this in no time. But I think a lot of people said that if you liked Every Summer After, that you would like this book. And it's been kind of going viral too, I think, online. So, and I haven't read. It says it's from the author of Nora Goes Off Script. I haven't read Nora Goes Off Script, but I did get this. Because it sounded good. Here on the back it says, Sam's life is on track. She has the perfect doctor fiance, Jack. His strict routines are a good thing, really. A great job in Manhattan, unless they fire her. And is about to tour a wedding venue near her family's Long Island beach house. Everything should go to plan. Yet the minute she arrives, Sam senses something is off. Wyatt is here. Her Wyatt. But there's no reason for a 30-year-old engaged woman to feel panicked around the guy who broke her heart when she was 16, right? Yet, being back at the beach, hearing notes from Wyatt's guitar float across the night air from the next door as if no time has passed, Sam's memories come flooding back. The feel of Wyatt's skin on hers, their nights in the treehouse, and the truth behind their split. Sam remembers who she used to be, and as Wyatt re-enters her life, their connection is as undeniable as it always was. She will have to make a choice. Well, this sounds pretty good. So it sounds like maybe childhood, I don't know, second chance romance, maybe? I don't know. But it sounds pretty good. And it looks like it's going to be a fast read. This is such a skinny book compared to, I guess if you compare it to the fantasy I read last week, because this is, it's 288 pages. This is the shortest romance novel that I've read today. So, here's the 3 books I'm reading this week, and I'm going to go ahead and let y'all guys go. I'm going to start reading If He Had Been With Me, and I will give you updates along the way as I'm reading it. If there's anything exciting happening that I feel compelled to share with you, I have to think about that. If I'm reading and I feel anything compelled to share with you, of course I'll cut in and give you some thoughts as I'm reading along. I like doing that better anyways, because it gives me a little freshness on my mind of what's happening while we're going through the book. That way, when it comes near the end and I'm ending out my reading vlog, you have already seen like what happened in each book, so it's easier to recount. But yep, I have 2 romances and a mystery this week that I'm reading. So I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all guys go. I'm gonna go start reading my new book, and yeah. So I'm sorry if this is a little dark. It is like literally almost midnight here. Everybody is asleep in my house. But I'm actually filming this on Saturday, which is the same day I filmed the outro to my last reading vlog, number 6, I believe it was. And I was talking to you. I wish I was giving you an update about the book that I was talking about at the beginning of the video that I was starting this week. But if you remember in my last video, I was reading this series from Lucia Franco. I forgot her name, but I'm reading the series it's called Off Balance. It's the name of the series, with the gymnast and her coach. And I'm reading the 3rd book in the series, which is called Release. I've already read Balance and Execution. So good. I'm on Release right now. I'm about probably 3/4 of the way through the book, because I know I'm on page like 200 and something, or 300, and it's only got like 414 pages. So good. But you just learn something about Anna. Just wow. Like something that's like life-threatening that she finds out and could really affect her whole gymnastics career, whether she can go on to compete in the Olympics or not. It's just wow. This series is so good. I have to tell you, if you have not read this series, the Off Balance series, about the forbidden romance between a gymnast and her coach, who is Russian, you have to read it, because this is so good. This is already, hands down, number 1 favorite series I've read this year. And like I already said in my last reading vlog, if Amazon ever gets the discreet covers, because I love the discreet covers more than the regular covers. The regular covers is like her and the coach on the cover, but the discreet covers just has like pictures of gymnastics. The Balance one is like one's of beams, one's bars, one's those handles that the guys use to do gymnastics. It just shows different gymnastics things on the cover. I really like the look of the new covers. So whenever they are available in paperback, I will buy this whole series in paperback. That's how much I'm loving the series. Like, her writing is so amazing. It just sucks you in and you feel like you're in the story. You can really feel the characters. You can really feel what they're feeling. all the emotions. Like, by far, favorite book of the year. And I know I've said that with a lot of books that I've read so far, but honestly, I guess I won't know until the rest of the year's over. But so far, this is the book that has made me feel the most. Has made me feel like I was inside the story and part of it as I was reading it. Like, she has a way of making everything seem so real. And wow. I'm loving it. So I'm going to keep reading. But I just had to come in here and say, I just can't believe what she just found out. And I'm so curious if it's going to change if she's going to be able to still go on to be a gymnast. Is she still going to fight through and be able to? Or is this going to cost her her Olympic career? Okay, so I just finished reading this book. Read it in one day, pretty much. If you can hear noise in the background, I'm listening to the sounds of the ocean. I like listening to it while I read. It makes me feel like I'm on the beach while I'm reading. This book is getting 2 stars. I read it in one day. I absolutely hate the ending. I hate this book. What the heck? So it's about this girl, Autumn, and her best friend, Finn. Their mothers are best friends. They got pregnant at the same time with them, and they pretty much grew up together. They were best friends until one day in middle school, Finn kisses Autumn, and then they just start growing apart. She wasn't ready for the kiss, I guess. That's what she says. And so they just start growing apart. He ends up becoming popular, and she ends up being the more outcast with the weird group. And yeah. And eventually, he has other girlfriends. She has a boyfriend for all of high school. It's pretty much just about them. And at the same time, she still loves him. She's always loved him. And he's always loved her, and she just didn't know it. But the ending made me so mad. I don't like it. I feel like I wasted my whole day reading this book for a sad, sad ending. Ugh. So now I'm moving on to my next book. Thank God it's not a romance. I'll be moving on to The Naturals, which is a thriller mystery novel. And also found out that both of these books is due in 3 days. So I literally have 2 days to read this book. I'm sure I'll be able to read it in one day. It's very thin. I read this one in one day and it was pretty thick. So moving on to my next book. At least this one I don't have to worry about any romance and being sad. I hate it when the books end sadly. I like the happy endings. Anyways, where'd I go? So I thought I would come in here with a little update for y'all on The Naturals. I'm about almost halfway through. It's so... Oh. Well, if you look at it the right way, I'm about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way through the book. It is so good. I really like it. It's so good. And there's like a little romance going on in between it, but it's pretty much about these teenagers. They're 17, I believe, and they all have like these natural abilities. Like it mainly focuses on Cassie and she has a natural ability for profiling people. Like she can look at somebody and she can tell you about their life. There's people who have the natural ability for sensing out people's emotions, whether they're lying or not. So the FBI recruits them and has them in this house. So they're working on like some program for the FBI where people have the natural talent to do it, and then just like building upon it, and they're helping them solve cold cases and stuff. So it centers around Cassie Hobbs, and her mom actually went missing 5 years ago to a serial killer, it looks like. They never discovered her body, but she found the house tore up and blood everywhere in her house. move forward. She's living with her nonna, she calls her, and in the house, and she's waitressing, and then she's just doing her waitressing job. You can see where she's like profiling people and telling whether or not they'll leave a good tip or not, and telling about the people that she works with. And then there's this guy that comes in, and and she asks him what he wants, and he tells her eggs, bacon, and toast, I believe. And she's like, well, how do you want your eggs? And he tells her, well, you tell me. So, oh, so she says sunny side up, and she's like, did I get it right? And he says, I don't know, you tell me. So she goes to put in the order, and when she comes back, the guy's gone, but he left a $12 tip for her, and then a card for her to call them, and that's the FBI. So she ends up calling them and meeting up with them, and they want her to recruit her to this team of the naturals, where they all live in a house and they go over these cold cases trying to solve murders from serial killers that they can't figure it out. Well, turns out that, was it Briggs? I forgot the other person's name. They're working on the serial killer case at the moment, and it turns out that they're kind of stuck on who the victim could be. And I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, it's really good. It's really grabbed my attention. It's kind of in dual point of view. Like, you have the regular stuff, but then there's, let me see if I can find a page. There's one where it's like you, and it talks about, here it is. It's like the killer's point of view. So you get ones that say you, and you hear about the killer point of view, and then it's the kid's point of view. So I really, really like this, and I have until tomorrow to finish reading it, because Thursday it's due, and it's Tuesday right now. But I'm definitely going to get and read the rest in the series, because I really like this. This is probably going to be like a 4 or maybe even a 5-star for me. It depends how it ends. So we'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and continue reading. And yeah. So it is the next morning since the last clip I sent you, and I took a shower and everything. That's why my hair looks like this. But I finished the naturals. So good. Oh my god, I loved it. So good. This series almost reminds me kind of like the murder mysteries that go on in James Patterson's The Women's Murder Club. But this is like, obviously it's not with women, it's with the teenagers who have these natural abilities to sense things about people. But it's like a murder mystery in that sense, that I got sucked in, and I could not stop reading it until I finished. The ending, although it shouldn't have surprised me, it did. But there was a twist, and it was just, wow, so good. I really like the series. So good. Once I finished it, I immediately went to the website of my library and put on hold the second one, and I think I'm like 5th in line on holds for that. So I might not get that for a couple weeks. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm definitely gonna finish off the series. It looks like there's 3 in the series: Killer Instinct, All In, and Bad Blood. So I'm excited to keep watching this. I'm wondering if Cassie's ever gonna. My hope is that by the end of this series, that Cassie finds out who her mother's killer is. That's my hope for the series. I hope she does. I'm gonna be so upset if I read all these books and she never finds out who her mother's killer was, or what happened to her mother, because there's never a body. So, so I pretty much told you about all that in my last clip about this book. But she definitely, there's like a little romance, like I was telling you, there's a little romance that goes on here between, I think his name's Dean and Michael. But then I think she's more into Dean, so I feel like in the next book there might be more romance developed between Cassie and Dean, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's it for this week, I think. Next week I'm gonna start with The Same Time Next Summer. I thought about reading it this week and trying to finish, because it is Wednesday, so I do have like a few more days, and I could probably, this is very thin, I could probably finish this book within a couple of days in reality, and it's not that many pages, especially if it's a good book. It's what? 288 pages. So I don't know. I'm in between starting this book and finishing it before the end of the week so I can include this in the vlog, or if I want to finish the Off Balance series number 4. Its name is Twist by Lucia Franco, but that one I'm only on chapter 9. I'm not even 100 pages in, and it has 539 pages, so it's like, am I gonna be able to finish it? But then I know on that series and I've been trying not to, because I have so much going on here, but because in the Lucia Franco series, I've been trying not to read any this week, because these books were due on Friday. Yeah, Friday. I have to think, what's today? Today's Wednesday. No, they're due Thursday. So these books are, this book and then the last book I read was due tomorrow in the library. So that's why I was trying not to read any of the Off Balance series and just read these books so I can finish them before they were due. But this one, I think I still have like 7 days with this one and a few other books. So I don't know yet. We'll see. You'll find out in the next clip if I decided to read this book, or if I decided to try and finish Twist from the Off Balance series. So I'm sitting in the car now, and this is my next update after my last update from a book vlog. I decided to continue on with the Off Balance series, and I'm on Twist, which is the 4th book in this series. I've read the 3rd book, finished reading the 3rd book this week, plus I have the 4th book I'm trying to finish. I don't think I'm going to finish the 4th book this week for you guys, but I just got to this part in the 4th book, and I'm sobbing and so happy. It's so happy tears. This writing is, Lucia Franco, the writing is just so good. So good. It's just, oh, I can't get over her writing. It really sucks you in, and you get attached to these characters, and you feel like you're part of the world. It's just, and I love the friendship between Adriana and Avery. They've been friends since they were kids, and they're still friends now, and it's on Adriana's birthday, and Avery went down there to surprise her for her birthday, and she's like planned out the whole day, her whole birthday. Adriana completely forgot it was her birthday, and she's planned out the whole day. And I would say skip over this part if you don't want to be spoiled if you're gonna read the series, because I have to tell somebody. So where Adriana she has lupus. She found out she has lupus, and she has a kidney disease stage 4. Everybody was testing in this book to see her father tested, her brother tested, and her biological mother tested, which I don't even think I mentioned that earlier, that she found out that Joy wasn't even her mom, who treats her like pure garbage. And that totally explains why she treats her like crap, because she's not even her real mom. But she finds her real mom, who looks exactly like her, finds out that her mom's sister used to be a gymnast too, and had lupus, and died from it when she was 20. So, and she ends up with it. So that's what pretty much this book is going through. Her trying to deal with accepting the disease and taking care of herself, and trying to find a kidney match. And so her best friend was just telling her that as soon as Adriana told her about her kidney disease and her lupus and stuff, she says she went straight to her father and asked him if she could be, told him she wanted to test to see if she was a kidney match for her. And I'm at the part of the book where she's in the doctor's office for her appointment, getting her blood drawn. She's supposed to go, I think, every 2 weeks or something like that, to make sure it's not progressing, because she didn't want to go on dialysis because it would hurt her in gymnastics, and she's so close to making it to the Olympics. so I'm at the part where they're sitting in the doctor's office, and she just found out that her best friend was a match for kidney, so she's gonna give her one of her kidneys. And it's just, what an amazing 18th birthday gift, let me tell you. It's just so amazing. They feel, in their friendship, it feels more like they're sisters than like best friends. They're so close. I just love this book so much. Okay, I'm gonna continue reading, but I will give you more updates. And when I go to close out this video, I'll give you more updates on the twist. I'll tell you more about it in book 3, which I can't remember the name of book 3, but I'll give you more updates when I go to end out this video, probably tomorrow. So let me finish reading. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm getting ready to eat dinner, but I could not. I just finished Twist. Wow, the way that book ended, whew, such a cliffhanger. Now you don't know if she's alive or not. Let's just say in the end, her dad found out and everything exploded. So it turns out I did finish this book before wrapping up my vlog. I'm probably gonna come tomorrow. I'll talk more about the book, but I had to just come and give this update because that just, wow. I could not believe how mad her dad got, to the point where he was pretty much abusing her. Wow, just wow. Explains where her brother gets all the rage from that they talk about in the book. Comes from the dad. Well, I'm gonna eat, and then tomorrow morning, hopefully, I'm gonna go in front of my actual setup for my filming, and I'll give you my overall thoughts this week on these 2 books at least. Hi guys, so I'm reading Point of Retreat by Colleen Hoover. I've already read Losing Hope before this, and I'll talk about Losing Hope later, but I'm like this far into Point of Retreat. It's really, really good. It's about Will and Lake. It's the continuation of their story if you've read Slammed, but I'm at this point where I'm kind of frustrated with Will because he runs into one of his exes. It's a girl Vaughn, that he loved before Lake, and she just she wasn't ready to be a mother to his brother or whatever. She wasn't ready for that role. It was a big step. She was young. They were both young, and she just wasn't ready, so she broke it off with him. Well, he's in his first college class, and he runs back into her, and he debates on whether he should tell Lake about her, and he decides against it, saying that it doesn't matter because he loves her now and everything. But I feel like he's making the wrong choice, and this is going to end up being a really big fight between the 2 of them. He wants to wait to tell her until after they spend a weekend together, which is going to be like their big weekend of having, you know what, and they haven't done it yet because her mom, Lake's mom, who was dying of cancer and Slammed, but so Lake's mom, who was dying of cancer and Slammed, made them promise that they wouldn't do it until at least a year after they've been dating. And so it's been longer than a year now, and he wants to make it special, so he wants to do it while they're at a weekend getaway. Well, I think it's a little kind of deceiving that he doesn't want to tell her about this other girl until after they've already had the weekend and they've done it, because it makes it seem more like he's hiding something. So I'm not really the biggest fan of that part yet, even though this book is really, really good. But And I'm at a part where she just left him she slipped him a note. They didn't talk the whole class, but she slipped him a note and he read it. And, but she pretty much apologizes for breaking up with him. She says it's one of her biggest regrets in life. She was just young and scared, and she wasn't ready for that role. But she loved her, and she said, I know that you love me too, and you at least owe the courtesy of talking to me. She said she just wants the chance to apologize in person, but she can't let go of the things that ended between them. And she says to at least talk to her and let her apologize. I think, yeah, but I also think the way Vaughn's been acting towards him, she's kind of been flirting with him, and she doesn't really care that he's in a relationship with somebody else. So, I don't like her. And I don't like the whole situation, because it's kind of like the other woman, to the point of cheating. So, I feel like this is going to end up being a big fight where they end up breaking up at some point in this book. But I'm going to keep reading. That part just really got to me when I read the letter. I was like, really? Oh my God, you guys, here I am updating you again. Not too long after the last update where I was talking about Vaughn. She just showed up unannounced to Will's house on the day they're getting ready to leave for their weekend together. Oh no, I feel like this is going to be a weekend of fighting. But apparently his grandparents actually like her. Surprise, surprise. They don't like Lake or Lakin. But this is going to be interesting. I was just like, oh no. I can't wait to see where this goes. So I was right. Lake shows up as he's giving her a hug to get her out of the house and tell her bye. And he kisses her on the forehead, of all things. And Lake sees the whole thing and starts running back to her house. He's such an idiot. He chases after her. Okay, and then she closes the door in his face, and then of course Vaughn's there. She says, I know you don't want to hear this, but I really am sorry, but we have a test on Wednesday. I left a copy of my notes on the table at the house, and then she leaves. Lake opens the door and is like, she's in your class. Told you. You always, if you're debating on whether or not you should tell your partner something, it means you should tell them. You should tell them right away and be honest about everything. If you're questioning it, that is the solution to all their problems. I don't think their weekend's happening after all, because she just deadbolted the door and turned off the light. So I don't think they're going to be having their weekend after all. Okay, I'm back again. So I'm much further in the book, only have a little bit left. But this is so good. So where I left you last and said that she walked in on Will giving her a hug and kissing her forehead, and she was mad. She broke things off with him, and she told him that he needed to think about why he loved her, or why he really loved her. And she feels like the only reason that he loves her is because they have a common ground on the fact that their parents have died and left them with their siblings to raise. So we're just at that point now. He keeps arguing with her that he loves her. He keeps telling her, but she's not believing him. But he's not getting the fact that he needs to show her that he loves her, and in more ways, and why he loves her in more ways than the ways that they just naturally connect on, I guess. But there's this other girl that pops up into the picture. What's her name? I done forgot her name. That's sad. Hold on. So this other girl, her name's Kirsten, and she's friends with the Lake, and she's friends with their siblings, the younger siblings. And she reminds me so much of Bailey from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Like, she's younger, but she's like wise beyond her years. And she cusses a lot because she says her mom says something about they should be able to cuss, because the reason why cuss words are called cuss words is because people don't say them enough. So it makes them think they're bad. So if they're said more, then they won't be bad. Something like that. She says that in the beginning of the book, but it's funny. I'm really liking this book. I really hate the third part, but I have a feeling they're dragging her to slam night. Kristen is. She's making her take her because she wants to write a poem for her talent contest at school. So she's asking Lake to take her to this slam club that does a slam and poetry and stuff, and it's for all ages. So she's asking her to take her there on Thursday, and I think he's gonna have a poem. He's gonna do a slam for her, and hopefully it'll win her back, but we'll see. This book has been really, really good. I've really enjoyed it. I can't wait to finish it. Hopefully I finish it tonight, because this is due tomorrow. I've literally had to read 2 books in 2 days because they're due tomorrow. And of course I'm going to jump right to the Colleen Hoover books, because those are the ones I want to read above everything else. So yeah, let me finish this book. I feel like I'm doing more updates for this book than I have any of the other books. But I just got to the part where they got her to the poetry bar where they do slam nights, and it's for all ages, and he did a slam for her, and he had props and everything that he saved throughout the relationship, and they get back together after the poem, and she realizes that he loves her for everything, and then I'm at the part where they were driving back, it's snowing, and they're driving back home, and there's an accident on the highway that causes like a massive collision with a bunch of cars, including them. Lake was ahead of them. They were driving in 2 separate cars. Lake gets hit first, and then he gets involved in the accident also, even though he hits his brakes. And I'm at the part where she apparently he thought that she was okay when he got to the car because she wasn't in the car. But everybody else was in the car that was with her. But then when the ambulance comes, when the ambulance and the fire trucks and everything come for the accident and they illuminate everything, he sees her like a few feet from the car laying in the snow, and he runs to her, and it describes it as there being blood everywhere. He's wiping it from her face and calling her Lake, and people, first responders come and take her on a gurney and put her in an ambulance. They won't let him ride with them or anything, so I've left at that part. So she may or may not die from the car accident. It sounds like it was pretty bad. It involved a tractor trailer, I think, or a truck. But this is all of a sudden turning really sad again. These Colleen Hoover books really get me. But I'm still enjoying it. I hope she doesn't die. I'm be really sad if she dies. So I finished this book last night, but I'm this morning updating it. It was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I'm excited to read the 3rd book in the Slam series from Colleen Hoover. It had such a good ending. I really, really enjoyed it. But before I read this one, I read Losing Hope, which, if you hear anything in the background, that's my son. But I was reading Losing Hope, and this is the sequel to Hopeless. This is just pretty much in his point of view, which I really liked. I really enjoyed seeing his point of view, because he was kind of like, you see in the beginning about which you find out in Hopeless, that his sister had killed herself. And so you see in the beginning, she's still alive in the beginning, but then she does eventually kill herself in the beginning. And he finds a journal in her bedroom, and he begins writing these letters to his sister, just getting all his feelings out and everything. And about halfway into the book, I think it was, he discovers that there's a letter that she wrote to him in the journal in the back of it, and he gets so mad at her that she wrote him a letter, and he tosses the notebook across the floor, and he refuses to read it, and he says he's not gonna write to her anymore and everything. But then he ends up getting a new notebook and starts writing to her again in a different notebook. But all the while, you're still getting like the content from Hopeless, where she's finding out everything about herself is her mom's not really her mom, and this is kind of spoiled. I'm not gonna say too much more about it, but you're still getting the content from like Hopeless, but kind of in his point of view. And I love the way, and it ends with him finally. Well, maybe I shouldn't tell you the way it ends, but it was really good. I would give this 5 stars too. I read both of these books in 2 days. I read Losing Hope first, and then Point of Retreat afterwards. And I was talking about this earlier in the vlog, so I thought I would go ahead and let you know. I end up DNFing this one because it's one of the ones that's due actually today, so I have to go to the library today to return all these books. But I end up DNFing this one. I'm gonna re-put it on my once I turn it back in. I'm gonna re-put it on my list so I can read it later on. I hate that I only read 1 chapter of it, so I hate that I didn't get to finish it, but I really did like it. It was really good from the beginning, and I only read 1 chapter, but I'll have to include it in another reading vlog. But yeah. I end up combining 2 weeks of reading vlogs, so this is gonna have more books in it. So there's 1 more book I'll probably be rereading this week, and I chose to read the E. Lockhart We Are Liars book, which sounds good. It's more of a summertime read, which I want to get my summertime reads out of the way, because now that August is here, I'm starting to have more of Halloweeny. I'm starting to get more into wanting to Halloween and stuff, so I'm going to be getting out of the summer book mood. But yeah, this one I'm excited to read. I know it was TikTok famous at some point, but I've never read it, and I think it's a YA novel, so it should be an easy read. But yeah, I'm going to start reading this one, and I'll come in and give you updates during it if I see I need to, kind of like I did Point of Retreats. I wish I would have gave you more updates when I was reading Losing Hope. I could have came in and gave you updates while I was reading it, but I didn't even think about it. But yeah, I'm going to continue reading, and we'll see. Hi guys, so here I am to give you like a little wrap up of my reading vlog. This is 2 weeks worth of reading vlogs, so this might be a little bit longer than the usual reading vlog. So maybe I should talk about the Off Balance series first. I read the last 3 books in that series, which I believe is Release, Dismount, and Execution. I could be wrong about that. No One's Twist. So maybe Release, Twist, and Dismount. I think it's the last 3 in the series. So I give this whole series as a whole 5 stars for me, because I love the gymnastics aspect to it, and in that aspect you can tell that the writer used to be a gymnast, because it's so realistic that you feel like you're inside the book. You can see the flips, you can see the routines that she's talking about doing and everything. I love that part of it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the smut that was in the book, the spiciness. I just pretty much skimmed over those parts. I skimmed them because some of them important to the plot point. And then others if it wasn't important to the plot point, I didn't really read. I just skimmed them, like I said. But I really enjoyed the book. I think I didn't start really loving Kova until the third book. He really opened up more to Adriana in the third book. And then in the fourth book, it's just, I cried so much. The fourth book and the fifth book, there was a lot of crying. I don't want to talk too much about why, because I don't want to ruin it, but let's just say in the end, I loved the way it ended. It's pretty much, it goes like near the end of the book. I'm not going to give too much out on it, but near the end of the book, you have like 1 year later, then 2 years later, and then 3 years later. But then after that, it goes to 13 years later, and you see 13 years later in her life. And I wish there was more between that 3 years later and that 13 years later. I wish there was more in between, that we got to know more of what happened between those two. Because 3 years and 13 years is like such a big gap that I wish I would have liked to see more. Even like a little novella or something that she would write that would explain or would talk about what happened between those years. I would like to see that. But all in all, I really loved the way it ended. I think it had like a perfect ending to the series. And even though it was still a little sad, and there was a sad part in the end, but I really enjoyed the series and the way it ended. And I definitely would recommend it if you like the gymnastics world, and if you don't mind like pretty graphic, smutty scenes. I know the one person that was talking about it that got me into reading the series, oh, I can't remember her name now. So I'm just realizing that I never finished out my thought there. I must have been talking but not recording when I was talking about it. So the person who originally brought me to this series was Locke's Library, was her name on YouTube. And she's a very big Harry Potter fan, loves Slytherin and Draco Malfoy. But if you hear background noise, it's just my son. But yeah, I never finished I thought I did, but apparently I wasn't recording. But anyways, so with the Balanced series, it does have some very spicy scenes in it, with some very, I want to say almost pornographic talk. And I pretty much skimmed over those parts, only when it was like requiring to read it for the story did I, because some of them you had to, because he was at some point being so rough with her that he was tearing her, and she was like scared to even, the first time she was scared to even use the bathroom because it was burning her so bad where she was tore, and it caused her to get a kidney infection and everything. So that's what I mean when I'm saying some stuff you had to read because it pertained to the plot and the story. But for the most part, I just skimmed over the sexy scenes. And I overall would still recommend the series, unless you're just a no, you don't want any of smut in your books, then I wouldn't recommend it for you. But I was okay just skimming over those parts and really reading the story because I really enjoyed the story as a whole and everything. But yeah, that's the point I was getting at with that book. And then with the E. Lockhart, We Are Liars, I didn't like that book at all. I think I gave it like either 1 or 2 stars on Goodreads. I just didn't care for the way the writer writes. I don't know. I kept on thinking about DNF in it the whole book, the whole time I was reading it. I was like, no, I'll keep going because I wanted to see the twist, and it did have a really good twist to it. But I didn't care enough for it to read, because I know there's a second one. I forget what the second one's called, but there's a second one that comes after it, and I wouldn't care enough to read the second one that there is of the Liars books, but it was just okay. And not anything that I would want to reread. So pretty much it's just about this Cadence and her family, the Sinclairs. They go to an island off of the Hamptons in Massachusetts. Off of Massachusetts, they own an island which has like a bunch of beach houses on it, and they go there every summer during the summer. And apparently they all lie. It says they're not liars, they're not cheaters, they're not criminals, but apparently they're everything they say they're not. But so pretty much they go there every summer. Then one summer something happens to Cadence and she doesn't remember anything that's happened to her. There's like an accident or something that happens. They find her in the water. She has hypothermia, and they thought that she had like some type of brain injury or brain concussion or brain damage or something, because she couldn't remember anything, and she gets like these really bad headaches. So they prescribe her these pills to take to help with the headaches, but it doesn't really help. So the doctor tells her parents not to let her go back to their island for a couple years until her brain has enough time to heal. And when they do eventually go back, she starts remembering things that happened the last time she was there before her brain injury. And pretty much, so when she goes back, it's like they're back together again, all four liars. When she goes back again, they're all together again, and she keeps on asking them, well, what happened? And they're saying, well, the parents told her, and the doctor told them not to tell her anything, that she needs to remember on her own. Well, she starts remembering on her own, and then there's a twist that happens, and you find out everything. Then there's like at the end, it has part 4, it has the truth, and you find out what really happened that summer. So it was good in that sense, but it was just okay for me. I've read better books. So anyways, this reading vlog is already long enough, and I'm not trying to make it any longer because it's already 47 minutes, and now this is like 5 minutes and something. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys go now so I can finish out editing this. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading vlog this week. It is 2 weeks of reading vlogs, so that's why it's so long. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up down below. And if you're not yet subscribed, I would greatly appreciate if you consider subscribing to my channel. And next to the subscribe button is the bell. You can ring that to be notified of all my future uploads. And I hope you guys have a great day, night, weekend, whenever it is you're watching this. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.